Okay, we're back, and this is Joan with the Joan Jerkovich Show, talking here with Wes Jackson, who established the Land Institute in 1976, a long history of working within his field. And we just got talking a little bit ago about sustainability, and some of this, he mentioned at one point that the world population had tripled in his lifetime, which is frightening. And also in John Kennedy's lifetime, it had doubled.
Well, since John Kennedy.
Since John Kennedy was president, it's doubled. So my question for Wes is, do you think the human race is destined for extinction?
Well, sometime, but I mean, the rule for all species on planet Earth, the rule is extinction.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
why should we be?
Well,
why should we be any different?
I don't think what we're doing now is going to lead to extinction. I think what we're doing now is going to lead to a trimming of our numbers.
Right.
I think the carrying capacity of the Earth without fossil fuels is going down.
And what's that going to look like? We've seen all these movies. I don't know if you're a movie person. I certainly am. Armageddon and all of that. How is that going to happen? What's it going to look like? Do you think it's going to be a mass depletion of food, water, and that sort of thing?
Well, I can't.
Is there a tipping point, Wes,
well,
with this?
I mean, I look at it this way. Let's say that there are two freight trains headed for one another, and they're on the same track. I can't predict the way the boxcars are going to be jackstrawed, but I can say if they're headed toward one another and one of them doesn't pull off the side, it's not going to be very pretty.
Right.
So
what is that going to look like?
The pattern,
you're educated and you think about it, and I've heard you talk, and you darn near scared me. I had nightmares.
Well, here's what I think needs to be pointed out.
Okay.
The Earth is getting warmer. That's going to lead to some tremendous adjustments in agriculture. The water, there's a serious problem with water.
Yes.
I think the problem with water is more serious right now than the problem with fossil fuels. But so you got a water problem, you got a soil problem, we got soil erosion going on. The dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico, a science piece just yesterday that came, it's going to be the biggest ever.
Wow.
It's going to be the size of New Jersey and Delaware put together. And so the fisheries are compromised. The cod is already. So we got all sorts of telltale signs. If it gets warmer, as it gets warmer, that means the snowpack in the Sierra Nevada won't be there. Therefore, you're not going to be irrigating the Central Valley of California.
Should we be doing that anyway, in your opinion?
Well, I think it's all right to irrigate the Central Valley of California. The snowpack it melts, but there's not enough dam capacity to hold the water. And so we need the snowpack. And there are similar problems in the Himalayas, although I think that's been somewhat overstated. So we've got all these telltale signs, and what we have is a whole bunch of indicators. I was at the lab at Woods Hole Research Institute, 19,000 square feet, and the place is just loaded with computers that's modeling.
Where's this again?
This is Woods Hole, Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
Yeah. George Woodwell was director there, and member of the National Academy, smart guy. We've had him at the land a few times. And he took me around, and here are all these people that are taking these data points from mountaintops to ocean, whatever. And by the time you listen to those guys, that are looking at what they're quiet.
It's frightening.
They're quiet because it's almost as though they can't say it.
It's frightening.
So and I'm not a climatologist. I don't. But what I do is trust a way of knowing. And but to give a prediction as to what it's going to be like, in some respects, this sounds awful, but that earthquake that created the tsunami and wiped out those reactors in Japan, that's kind of a wake-up call. That caused Chancellor Merkel, I just got back from Germany, she's Chancellor Merkel in Germany, she's done 180 degrees on nuclear power. and they're going more with renewables there now.
Wow.
And the Greens have won. Back in 2000, I talked to the Green Party in the European Union Parliament, and you know, I mean, they're just a scattering of few people, and they were making no headway. That picture is changing in Europe, and a lot of it has to do with the mounting evidence of serious problems,
right.
with whether it's mountaintop removal or whether it's the nuclear power plants that are sited in places where there are earthquakes.
Where there's natural disaster.
Yeah. And so,
Wes, this is so fascinating, but before we have to close our interview, I wanted to, in case I can't have you back someday, which I'd love to, but I wanted to ask you, what do you want your legacy to be?
Well, I hope I've been a good father.
Oh.
And I've got three
that.
good kids.
Yeah.
And I've got some good grandkids.
Yeah, you do.
And I've got a loving wife, and I've got a staff of people that have joined the fight, and that they do it in modest ways. They were up this morning at 6 o'clock and out in the plots, and they're making pollinations, they're weeding, they're watering, and so to have people that are essentially committed to a new concept for how we get our food supply, and to think about food without the fossil fuels standing behind it, to build an agriculture as sustainable as the nature we destroy, I think is what the legacy
what you want your
want.
legacy to be. And what's great is that you've put together this system for people to carry on your work. And so that's just amazing. And I'd love to maybe even when we get close to the festival, which is in September, you know, have you or one of your staff come in and you know, preempt some of your speakers.
Love
you always have amazing speakers coming out there.
We've got a great bunch this year.
And so, again, Wes, thank you so much for coming and being my first ever guest, the most famous Salinan, and also a friend of ours.
Yeah, sure.
And this is Joan with the Joan Jerkovich Show, signing off.